Let's move on. Just you were talking about Christopher Doyle, Craig. In his next film, Christopher Doyle's gone, which was a surprise. And also, it's very much a change of scene, a change of continent, in fact. And also, it's one of the 2 films where there is unnecessary slow motion interspersed throughout for no good reason.
Wait a minute, can you pause there for a second, Drew? I'm just going to pan back a bit. Stand still. Stand still. Right, on you go.
And that's my Blueberry Nights. I'm shot in the United States.
Starring William Shatner?
My Blueberry Nights. It's gone. It's gone.
Yes, this is Wong's first and so far only English language film, which transports us initially to New York as Nora Jones's Elizabeth has her heart broken by some gadabout, then depositing her cheating ex's apartment key at the local cafe run by Jude Law's Jeremy, joining a jar of other manifestations of broken dreams. She can't help but hang around night after night to see if that key will be reclaimed, sharing a slice of blueberry pie with Jeremy, but just as it seems there might be some spark in that relationship brewing, if that's what sparks do, I'm not a scientist, she up sticks and leaves. She heads south to find herself working in a diner by day and bar by night in Memphis, Tennessee, where she will become witness to another tragic relationship between David Strathairn's Arnie and Rachel Weisz's Sue Lynn, although perhaps more accurately, it's the relationship between Arnie and the bottle of scotch that's the issue. Later, she'll head off to Nevada and get wrapped up in the life of risk-taking card-sharp Natalie Portman's Leslie, in a segment that was certainly a thing that existed, but I'm not sure what the wider point of was, before returning to New York and Jeremy, who has rather soppily been waiting for her for like a year for some reason. Now, this got a rather tepid reaction on release and is considered a bit of a flop. And, well, it is. Certainly in the company of the films we're talking about today. If I was feeling contrary, I could argue a point that the shallow characters and the meandering through line is not significantly worse than we've seen in his earlier work, and at least Wong's had the sense to cast David Strathairn in it, instantly making it a watchable film regardless of the well-trod Americana that it's dressing itself in. However, at that point, I'd just be arguing about the relative positions in the bottom half of Wong's league table, and as there's no relegation from that division, I'd rather spend our time here talking about the more positive experiences, so I won't say much more other than to say that while it's no one's worst hour, either in front of or behind the camera, it's also far from their best, particularly Jude Law and that allegedly Mancunian accent. Apart from Nora Jones, I suppose, who didn't really act in anything substantial after this to date, so this is both her best and worst hour. Such is life. Look, My Blueberry Nights is by no means awful, but it's by no means recommended to anyone other than a completionist of Wong's stuff. It's okay. I entirely understand why people were completely underwhelmed by it, and it's very much the weakest link in these particular films that we'll be talking about today, and not all that interesting as far as I can tell. Sorry.
Yes, I largely feel the same, Scott. I enjoyed it enough, but it's, compared to his other films, it's
a regression in a lot of ways.
It feels slight.
Yeah.
It feels very, very slight. And I know that's a weird thing to say, given what we've said about everything else Wong Kar-wai has done. Like, substance isn't a big thing in a lot of the some more traditional aspects of storytelling anyway. But this just feels kind of, it's Wong Kar-wai light.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe if that's because it's slightly more conventionally structured. And I don't know if it's that, or maybe just that the story isn't particularly captivating. I mean, I did appreciate that at least one of these films, there was a happy ending.
Yes.
Because I couldn't have taken 10 of misery. And, yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know if you feel quite as much, but I know Craig has done in the past, and I've done, like, really, really not liking Jude Law.
I swing hot and cold. I mean, I think we've probably all got more or less the same ones. Like, because I think I first saw Jude Law back when he was in Gattaca in, what was that, 95-ish?
98, I think. 97 or 98, I think.
And he's really good in that.
Yeah.
And then he'll show up in something else that's absolutely dreadful. And it's almost like it alternates. Like, he goes from, like, being really good in some films to absolutely awful in others. And I think it's more his film selection. It's like, when he's given decent material, he can be really good.
Perdition.
Yeah. He's really good in Contagion. He's really good in a whole number of films. Certainly, Sherlock Holmes stuff he's great in.
Yeah, he is. What was that one he did with? He was in with Forrest Whitaker again about the bounty hunters.
That's Repo Man.
Repo Man.
Which is
really
good
good.
too.
I like Repo Man.
Yeah.
So yeah, he kind of is an actor that kind of bounces about between really good and really great, and I never know quite what I'm going to get from him. And this one is right bang in the middle. To be honest, he's not really given enough to make much of an impact on anything.
And to be honest, it's not the rhythm section, so I'll take that. Yeah, so because every so often you would get something like you got Road to Perdition was a really interesting character, and then it's probably around about the same time Alfie was made, the remake of Alfie.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about giving with one hand and taking away with the other. Yeah.
But I can't remember where I was going now. We seem to have gone down a Jude Law rabbit hole. I said he's okay in this, I guess. I mean, he's not given a lot to do. That's the big problem. It's just that, it's slight. You can see some of the trappings of a Wong Kar-wai film, but I do wonder, because he's resisted like more conventional narrative structure most of his career, and I wonder maybe where the funding for this film came from or something, whether he just wasn't able to do that in the United States, or whether it was perhaps just being less comfortable in a different language. That can make a big difference, I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's still bits in there I like, and I actually really, really like Norah Jones.
She was entirely inoffensive. It's a shame she didn't actually get a chance to get something a bit meatier as it goes on. So exactly, in terms of actresses transition to film, she's not perhaps Lady Gaga, but she's also not Madonna. So she's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Again, and she's not given an awful lot to do there.
No.
But I found an appealing presence, and the only issue I really had with her was quite liked in this film, and I've always liked Norah Jones' music, but watching Norah Jones on screen playing a character while her music plays over the top, that felt really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not her choice, but it's
That's weird.
It felt really self-indulgent.
Yeah. It felt a bit vanity project. Even though it's not her project.
Sure, it's not, absolutely not, but that's what it felt like. So that juxtaposition was a bit odd. It's certainly the most dispensable of the five we're talking about tonight. So probably for completionist, but there are only 10 films or 10 feature films in Wong Kar-wai's work, so being a completionist isn't that much of a stretch. And my big puzzle with the film seems to be the same one you have though, Scott, is why the Natalie Portman section?
Yeah, didn't really go anywhere in any sort of hint at emotionality, and it comes right at the end and it's going over in 4 sentences at the very end of that film when you're supposed to see your father in hospital. And that's rushed through very quickly, and instead most of it is about her playing cards.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure. That didn't seem to add anything. It didn't really do anything for... It seemed like that whole section, which for was it 1 hour 37 minutes or something?
Yeah.
For a film of that length, it seemed to take up quite a chunk. And it seemed to only exist, as far as I can tell, for Norah Jones to say to Jude Law in our letter, I've spent the last several days being taught how to not trust people, and I'm glad to say I failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's I like that about the optimism of our character, not wanting to be cynical and stuff, but did it require that entire section?
Yes. Not efficient, which is
So no, again, I can't comment because I had a choice in terms of my time bank as to whether I invested in this or rewatching 2046. And against my better instincts, because I'm intrigued by the notion of Norah Jones and Jude Law being in a film together, I erred on the side of rewatching 2046 to see how it fared after In the Mood for Love. So I can't comment.
It's not dreadful, but God, it certainly was the right choice to watch 2046 again over this.
Well,
you've not regretted it, Craig, but it's just if you only had time for one, you've made a smart choice there.
Yeah,
by luck.
I was going to say you're not necessarily putting me off wanting to at least pick it up at some point in future, just out of interest, because
an hour and a half, I'm sure you could find your time if you like the filmmaker.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, listen, as we get towards the end of this thing, that's one of the things I appreciate most about Wong Kar-wai is that actually he seems to be able to get done in an hour and 30, an hour and 40, what most other filmmakers would want to languish over, over the course of 2 hours. So
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because that thought was very much in my head as well. There's the next film I'll come to is the one long one.
Yes.
And it's not that long, but and I know we talk about it a lot, me in particular, but it's because it just bothers me so much about how unnecessary it is. You can have a film that's 3 hours long, can fly by, a lot of Scorsese stuff's like that, but it's got a wealth of stuff in there. Whereas I'm watching In the Mood for Love, which is an hour 35, an hour 38, something like that. One of the most affecting films I've ever seen. I'm thinking, why are comedies 2 hours 10 minutes nowadays when that film is doing that in 90 minutes?
Exactly.
Yes.
Adam Mackay, have you watched a Wong Kar-wai film? Yeah. I think, he doesn't allow himself the indulgence of time so much as he does it's as if he's got a little set of skills, and on one side he's got time, and on the other side he's got, sort of aesthetic indulgence, and he puts all of his, and listen, I think it's amazing. I think that's one of the things I've appreciated most over these movies I've watched, but there you go.